Hello, everyone. I'm Harold Muliati.
And I'm Jeff Blanchard, and welcome to this week's edition of Tech Down Over. You know, Harold, we're here, but what we need to do, whoops, you've gone blank. What we need to do, Harold, we need to have a little overwrite on the intro where you just come zooming in over on another board, just as when you're hosting, or then
Maybe
when you're
I'm
on
on
the
maybe I'm on a hang glider. I'm going above.
That's what you should do. There's Harold on a hang glider coming past in the background. So.
Or just the head poking out of the water and going back in.
I feel bad that you're not in the intro, and you usually hear you hear most of the time running the place anyway. So.
Yeah. So we're talking a little bit before the show about some of the camera channels that we've been watching, and Jeff, you were talking about Tony and Chelsea Northrup's video on the Canon R5, because we were talking about the Canon R5 and some of the Sony cameras as well.
Yeah, it's just quite amazing how the everybody's changed. That R5 seems to be doing quite well out there. I must admit, it's one that I haven't even started looking at now, and the way I look at things, I try not to look at too many things because I'll end up buying one. So, but it seems to be the talk of the town at the moment. But I was saying about the Tony and Chelsea video, saying they're dumping the Sony for the R5. But I must admit, I just saw that and I thought I hadn't had time to go through the whole reasons why. But I thought I really do respect what Tony and Chelsea have to say about cameras and that.
I do. However, I do think it depends on what you're doing, what kind of thing you do with the cameras. Because I noticed that, well, Tony and Chelsea Northrup, they tend to be a little more focused on the photographic side of using the cameras, whereas like for example here at Relate, we tend to use stuff for video a lot. And what I've heard about the R5, for example, there's an article that I was reading from No Film School, I think, and there was also, I believe, a petapixel one. But anyways, people are saying that it's overheating, especially when you use some of the higher resolution or higher frame rate video options. And while I guess, like 8K is, a lot of people are not going to be using the 8K video necessarily because it's such a high data rate. The files are going to be huge and take a long time to process. However, it is a pretty big part of the camera's features, so it should be able to do it well. But it seems like, from what I've seen from the kind of early reviews, it's been overheating a lot when doing that.
Yeah, it still gets me with cameras in all sorts of fashions these days that, like you said, it may be overheating if it is in some videos formats or some long video sections and that. But to me, you've got horses for courses. Yes, they do great video in short bursts and not too long. And to me, it's like, you don't get a little mini minor if you want to do a thing as a where you need a pickup truck. And to me, I still think I'm still one of the ones that I think to get a great video, you need just a separate video camera and great still camera. There's always got to be something that is amiss if it's supposed to do both of them great.
That is true, but I guess I would say that it does seem like, especially since YouTube stuff has really blown up, people have been more and more seeing hybrid cameras as kind of, they should be not necessarily the same as what video cameras can do, but they should be very much a capable video camera, as well as being able to take pictures. So I mean, really, I think part of the thing is just that Canon's kind of diving full on into the whole 8K thing with the R5, it seems like, and I'm not totally sure that that's some, it's something that there will be people that use it, but I don't think that's going to be the main thing people are going to record in.
But it's just still in the back of your mind somewhere. There's
Oh
like
yeah.
a few people that if you get the perfect camera, if they do the perfect thing, well, if the R5 did everything, had the best video, it would start to kill all their video lines. So, well, why would the people bother to do that? And they'd say because they're getting that because the video camera does a better job, it's easier to use. But if they did everything in that, it would start killing some of their other line. That's, to me, I get that feeling sometimes.
Yeah, I assume there is a component of that too. And well, speaking of lines that may or may not be killed, we were also talking before the show about micro four thirds cameras, and well, with Panasonic specifically, Rick and I were noticing that well, so just I believe it was 2 weeks ago or last week or something that Panasonic had made an announcement saying that the micro four thirds line is a precious asset, and they're not going to get rid of it. And this is coming after, in April they actually came out and said that they're not getting rid of the micro four thirds line. And Jeff pointed out something kind of, his take on that was interesting.
Well, that's right. Well, it's like life in general. When anybody comes out with a press release that's saying they're definitely not doing something and it's not going away, usually 2 weeks later there's an announcement that it's being killed. So, I mean, when somebody does that, I'm not impressed with that line where they'd say it's absolutely, definitely staying. So, oh well, it's fixed. But really, if it does, it does. But to me, if you've got the equipment and like most of the things, if I've got cameras from donkeys years ago and that still do. If people that don't make them, they still work. And if you've got your decent setup, say with the GH5 with the decent lens setup, well, it's going to last you forever. It's not going to make a big deal of difference.
That is
really
true, yeah.
But I think it will stay around because it does a good job. It's just what kills things like these ones is not so much the format, it's just the perception that people say you've got to have this. It's only been recently that people say, oh, it's a micro four thirds, it's a full sensor. Most people didn't care about that. Well, it was just a camera. You didn't need to know about that. It was, but now it's all got to do with oh, that's better than this one. The microphone, oh, no, you don't want that one. You want a full-size sensor. But in some cases, it does a better job for a lot of people. And to me, like, they're a bit smaller, but they've got the same sort of quality as the bigger ones. But I don't find any problem with the micro four thirds, but I do like all the other cameras as well. So
Yeah, and I feel like, they usually have pixel resolution of their images that's near 4K, so that you don't have to do as much processor intensive downscaling and that sort of thing to get a 4K image. So in that way, a lot of times they could be more ideal for 4K video without with less heat and less processing required, that sort of thing.
But it's like all these things. So I'll look at a lot of these reviews and people showing quality of this and reviewing it, and what they come up with in the show, the two shots side by side show all the problems with this one and all the and I quite often think, I can't. I said I'd have to have that right next to it to appreciate the difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can I say something? And I thought, where are they seeing this? Or they come up with all these facts and figures that this one's cutting up here and it's doing. It sounds good to me. And to me, a lot of the time we get too technical. So, well, it looks okay. It sounds okay. Is anybody going to really notice unless it's really bad?
And again, I think part of this just is, and this goes with the thing you were telling me about before the show about the guy that was saying, if you do video this way, it's rubbish. Only smart people do video this way or whatever. Is that a lot of what people will pay attention to, and therefore, the channels they'll tend to get bigger, or just in general in life, the people that will get listened to are when you have negative opinions about something, like when you're like, I don't like this, then people will tend to listen to that and think, oh, that person is smarter because they have an opinion that other people didn't figure out that this wasn't a good thing to like. Whereas
Well, that's the thing. Like the saying though, it's like what they call it, clickbait, isn't it? So, like if we said, if we put the title on the show, why we hate this product and it's going into the rubbish bin, and then you click on it and it says it's got nothing to do with why you hate it, but it was just a line. It just said, no, you hated this one because it did that, but we really realized it was really great to do that, so it's the best thing out. But it got 50,000 people to watch it, whereas if you just said, here's a review on this X brand camera, oh, that's like just another review. But if you said why you hated it and, oh, this is going to be good, so people, and I do it this myself, you look at something and you pick up on the line, why I hate this one. Oh, let's see. And it's really got nothing to do with that. It's not like I've seen this. Why I hate the new the iMac, and you see these really for it in the end. It's got nothing to do. No, he hates the way that that it's just too expensive for him or something like that. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the reason that that's so common is because it actually really works on people. You have this controversial opinion, then it shows people, it takes people's attention. And even if you didn't actually, like, people don't necessarily leave just because you didn't actually tell them what you said you were going to tell them. And the other thing I was thinking about Micro Four Thirds is another thing why I'm thinking that maybe they'll stick around is because there's a few more of the kind of smaller lens manufacturers that have actually said they're going to start making Micro Four Thirds lenses. There's Venus Optics, Media Edge, and probably the biggest of these three is Yongnuo. They make kind of the cheapy lenses, I guess, but they are you can find them in a lot of the store, a lot of the online stores and that sort of thing. So actually, Yongnuo in particular, I think they're also developing a Micro Four Thirds camera, which is going to be based on Android operating system, which we'll see how that works. I don't know.
But like the thing is, the lens people, there won't be a problem with lenses while there's cameras being produced, and so as I said, but they'll, as soon as they see like the Sigmas and that's hang on, no new Micro Four Thirds, well, we're not going to invest any more in it. We'll sell out our current range, but if there's a lot, they'll keep pushing it out. It's just what there is. If the market will deem itself, you'll see yourself if something disappears off the market. This is, well, nobody's going to start. What was it lately? The 3D. Remember the old 3D in videos? Oh, they're still making them. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, there's no down players out there. There's no TVs that are doing it now. All the normal ones, it's getting less and less. Oh, we'll stop doing it. Fair enough. But as I said, why do it if there's nobody? If there's still 100,000 people who still got it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's billions of people who haven't, so so why bother?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the thing with the cameras. I guess a lot of it is writing with the Micro Four Thirds. A lot of it is writing on just whether Panasonic keeps doing the Micro Four Thirds line. Because I mean, other than them, Olympus, their fate is kind of up in the air. They got bought by another company, but who knows if they're really gonna be making anything new.
But then again, as I said, it all depends on the marketplace. If they get it into the marketplace where, the general population, because let's face it, the general population, they see a nice camera, it'll take a nice picture. That's what they worry about. They see. They don't worry too much about what type it is. If it's something that can sell, if they get a Micro Four Thirds camera for $250 that has all the right things on it, they'll get it. They don't care. That takes a great picture. It's cheap. And that's the sort of thing that will, keeps things going. Like Canon, like we're looking at all the high-end Canon ones, but look how many Canon cheap-end ones, how much they sell of them. We don't even realize that things that we would never look at sideways. And I think that, there's a big market out there for a lot of people still.
Yeah, that is true. And actually, on that same subject, from what I understand, I mean, camera sales and stuff have dropped dramatically in the professional market, like actual people that are like event photographers or people that do video, like we tend to do, and that sort of thing. Sales have dropped dramatically among them. because people can't necessarily go to the places where they would be filming. However, there have been a lot of people that, furloughed from work or whatever, or just working from home, have taken up things like nature photography. People who are in places where they can actually go out and take pictures, unlike Jeff. But yeah, so
here's the bedroom, here's the bathroom, here's the kitchen, here's the backyard, and that's about it at the moment. So.
Need to just get a macro lens and then just take pictures of all of the, like if you got crumbs on the counter, take a bit. But yeah, I suspect that because so that would probably be the people going out and taking up a little bit of like nature photography and stuff like that. That would again probably be more of that sort of consumer camera market. And I don't know, maybe after all this stuff cools down, all the lockdown stuff cools down, we'll start seeing more of those kinds of cameras on the used market and that sort of thing.
Well, I think that's the sort of thing when, with the world being in lockdown in a lot of places and travel being restricted, a lot of the thing that drives photography is to say not local, it's more so travel, because I get caught up in that. You're going to go on a 3 weeks holiday to the States or where somewhere else. I'll get that new camera to go and take that.
That's true, yeah.
It might not be necessary, but it gives you the incentive to do that. So, well, I've got something to take pictures of. Whereas when you're at home, there is. Oops, I've frozen. I don't know if I'm still on.
I can still see and hear you. Okay.
Don't know if I'm frozen my end, so I don't know if I'm still here. I'll probably wait. Oops. I'm back. We froze for a sec, did we?
Huh.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, you were actually still here on our end here, but so yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, so even if people are on the consumer side buying more cameras for other reasons, then you're right. The travel has totally been killed, and as far as the consumer level cameras, then travel was definitely a big. People buy it either for travel or family events and that sort of thing, and those have also, people are not doing that as much either.
And that's what was the point of what I was saying, but I lost track because I froze on this end, was that when this is all over, because nobody's traveling at all at the moment, but when this is all over, there'll have to be so many great deals. Like they'll be throwing money at you. They'll say, whereas it would cost me, $1,000 to get to the States. There'll be deals to get to the States for $400 return for me. There'll be Europe, because they've got to get people back on into these things, and that will drive a lot of this. That's what I'm thinking. Because if you had the time and money after this pandemic, it would be the great time to travel, because there'll be so many deals. People will be, begging you to stay at their hotels, begging you to come to different areas, and then that will drive, a lot of the tech things with the cameras, because people will, say, I'm going on there, I'm saving on this, I can afford to buy my higher end camera. And when you've got some, places to go, you said, I want I have to have that great camera for this trip. Whereas probably, in fact, you could have done it with your old camera. It would have done quite just as well. But it's just not the same. Doing a good trip with your old camera, it's always better if you've got something new.
Yeah. And speaking of deals, I was looking around a little bit and trying to figure out if there are, a lot of camera or other media equipment deals out there, because on the consumer appliances, I've seen like a good amount for things like kitchen appliances and that sort of thing. There seem to be a lot of pretty good discounts and deals. Even a lot of car manufacturers a lot of the car dealerships are offering good deals on leases and that sort of thing. I've looked around on the cameras. I haven't seen a whole lot. I have seen that a lot of the Sony the Sony hybrid cameras seem to be on sale. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just because they're the new Sony releases.
I think one of the thing is, though, those type of products that me and you are looking at, that you're looking for deals on, for quite a while, we've all been used to looking at the reviews online, looking at what they are and buying them off the review. We don't have to get them in our hands. We know what they look like from people using. We get to trust a person, and we do that. Whereas all the other things like automobiles, you've got to go and see them. You can't just buy it offline without seeing it. You've got to see whether it feels right or whatever. And as I said, all kitchen appliances, they tend to be the sort of things that people were going into stores for. Whereas lately, I don't know about you, but a lot of the camera stores are sort of not as good as you used to be. You have a few here, a few there. We don't have a great deal of big camera stores, but you have to go into the city to do it. So more than often, you go online and then look at it and buy it offline. So I think that they know that they can still get a lot of money out of that, whereas all those other kitchen appliances, they haven't got a lot of them don't have a big presence online. So when they do push it on, that they're pushing people to, because they're missing off all the foot traffic. So that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. And one of the things that I've actually been hoping to find a discount on is that I've been thinking to put together a new photo tripod, get a head and some legs. I've been looking at some of the Benro extra long legs. However, yeah, I don't know. Those don't seem to get deals on them that often, so I might just have to just get it.
That's the thing. Just before I bought myself a new tripod, and then 6 days later, lockdown, so haven't been able to use it since March, and then we just I'm going to start getting it. It's coming out of lockdown, and then we went into worse lockdown. So so it's been sat there, and I've got to, I think I took it out once. Then I've got the Sony camera, and I want to get that out on that, but I got the E-image. I don't know if you've seen that one, but the E-image with the tripod.
We have a few E-image ones here in the studio.
This is a good video one, but it's great. But it sits up so high, it can above my head for video shots, so it's really good.
Right.
It's not just really steady, but very high, and very easy to adjust.
And let's see, we were. Earlier we were saying something about the IMAX, and that was making me think of recently here at Relate, we've been using for our remote access, because a lot of our workers are remote, and also sometimes we just want to use a PC to control one of the Macs that's in the office here or something like that. We've been using this program called Splashtop. We previously were mainly using Go to My PC. However, they kept cranking up the price on that, and also there were a lot of things that didn't quite do right. Like Go to My PC had a lot of latency between the video and audio feeds, so remote people couldn't edit audio and stuff like that well, which was something that we kept coming up against.
That's because if you want to do something remotely, you want to have it so you don't realize it's remote. It's just you're on that machine, and that's it. And you don't realize that it's in a different building in a different place. So if you've got that where you can't, so even if it's just a second delay, that's just too much, isn't it? It's just you can't handle that.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've been using a Splashtop, and it has very little delay. Like it seems to be, almost instant, very low latency to when you're moving around the mouse on the controlling computer as opposed to the target computer, and it's a little better multimedia wise because it gives you a higher frame rate on the video feed. It's still not like if you're controlling your computer and you play a video or something, it's still not perfect. Like you're watching it maybe like 15 frames per second or something like that, but you can still tell what's going on, and the video and audio are pretty well synced up, which is again quite important.
So because the Mac that has that you can sort of access it yourself through that. So what's the difference getting that platform than doing it yourself, just logging into your own machine? What's the advantage? What other sort of advantage do they give you?
Well, so this one you can do. Let's see, you can do up to 2 monitors, and then you can you can control a Mac from a Windows machine, and you can control a Windows machine from a Mac. And
That's a good thing to have. And then sort of just with the two machines with the one keyboard, I suppose that's another advantage by logging in through to two machines and that, and just clicking through them. So
Yeah, exactly. Like over here, Leslie's been using it quite a bit actually, just to use her PC, but then also be doing coding and stuff on an iMac that's somewhere else in the office. And
I know. I know I did once. I had that because you can set that something up through the network, and I had an accessory where I'd set up. I had three machines, and I had two monitors, and I didn't want to have three sets of keyboards, so I set it up through the network, and so whichever screen my mouse was on, the keyboard would work for it, and so it worked perfectly, and then everything worked fine, and then I got rid of one of these PCs and just and I didn't realize that even though I'd got rid of that PC, when I went over and passed that monitor to the other side, the person who'd got this other PC was still seeing my cursor because I disconnected it. And then I got that person phone me up, said, my computer's going strange. It's doing, and I realized that every time I'd lose my mouse, I'd taken it was clicking onto that other machine. So some of these technologies can be quite good, but you've got to remember to undo them when you're finished. So
how did you set that up to have the keyboard work on whichever one you're?
It was, I forget, but it was a software pack, a little thing that you do, set it up on a piece, but it said you knew which computer, but whichever one your cursor was on.
That's pretty cool.
It was really good the way it was set up, but the thing is, you've got to remember, if you undo it, you've got to remember to undo that, because no matter where you are in the world, if they're on the same network, because this was in the same company, in the world, it was on the same network, but I just can't see it. So that's another thing where these remote things are much better because they do a better job. But even now, some of the monitors have that facility, don't they? They have that facility to connect your two boxes to the same monitor. It gives you just the one keyboard and mouse, which is
yeah, that is nice. I haven't actually used that functionality in monitor, little integrated KVM, but yeah, that is a cool function. I mean, here in our studio here, we have the three machines that we use for video calls that we have connected to a KVM switcher. So it switches the keyboard, mouse, and monitor between three different computers. Works pretty well.
That all reminds me of all these reviews I see on the thing about the ideal desktop setup, and I think they all look good. But the thing is, it's like everything. They look really great, but when you're working at them, they never work like that. Perfect. You have, like, I've got mine as neat as possible, but there's still a hell of a lot of things here that you really don't want. And it's like household renovations. When they ever show you that, they never show. Nobody has a clothesline in these renovations where you hang your clothes up to dry.
Yeah,
but it's a sort of. It says, the hide. He said, but what do you do? Oh, we don't do that. Keep that. Same thing with these desks. Oh, look, that's really great. Yeah. Okay. Where's the microphone? Oh, we haven't put that on there because you need that. Where about your mixer box? Where's that? Oh, no, we just use. But if you wanted a better one, but as I said, it's the same sort of thing on that. And I think my setup's as neat as possible, but it's still got everything I need. But it's still not as neat as they say it should be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like those kind of ideal setups. You set it up, and then it's just as soon as you start using it, it immediately changes and has to have different stuff. So it's just no longer as neat, and it's just.
I did have taken one thing on board that somebody said, which, and I think we're all guilty of this, is when you finish with something, put it away. Which we all say, why have you got 5 microphones hooked up? Oh, because you don't use 5 microphones at once. So put 4 of them away and just change the other one and just do it. And as I said, it doesn't take you long, but we all do that and have this ready. Well, just put it away, put it back in the cupboard or whatever. And I thought that's a good bit of advice, really. Put things away and then take them out again. Don't have all your cameras out ready just in case you might want to have them.
Yeah, one of those lessons that we all learn in childhood and forget quite soon
Well, yeah,
after.
put your toys away. Pick things up. Don't leave things thrown away. But just as we get older, the things, instead of a jumper being thrown on the floor, it's usually, a camera bag or something like that.
Yeah.
The things become bigger and more expensive that you can stand on. So
Yeah, and also on that Splashtop, one of the things we do, one of the other things we liked was just that compared to the other two that we've used, which were Go to My PC and TeamViewer, Splashtop, the video quality on the the video feed, I mean, it still has a little bit of compression noticeable compared to just looking at the actual computer screen. But it is a lot clearer than those other ones, and the audio sounds really good. It's using, I think it's using a Kelt codec, which is it's a general purpose version of the Opus audio codec that's usually used for OGG, compared to, I think both TeamViewer and Go to My PC use Lame, which is the MP3 one. I guess it also
reminds me. I think back a few years ago, so I might have been. There was an app on the iPad called Splash. Was that the same one? Because I know I used to use that in the early days so I could do my iMac through the iPad if I was doing voiceover things, so I could see that without having the computer in there.
Yeah, it's probably the same company. It may or may not be the same.
But it was years ago. It was an app that they had on there, but I think they've gone past that. But the technology improved so much that, like, things with your Dropbox and all that, I didn't need that anymore. It was just, nowadays, sort of, you have a document and it's available on your PC, it's on your iPad, it's on your phone. You don't have to worry. Whereas, years back, if it was on that one, well, how did you get it onto your iPad without moving it over? You couldn't. But these days you can have it in the same area and quickly access it. You don't need to do a lot of those things anymore. So
yeah, I was just looking it up, and I guess the company that makes the thing we're using, Splashtop, started in 2010. So was that about?
That probably would be, because that's there.
Okay. Yeah, so it may have been the same company.
Yeah, because it just sounds Splash, because I thought I'd forgotten all about it. It's so funny, those things. When somebody says, "Oh, why did I stop using it?" You just it just goes by the wayside. You just get onto something else, and you forget all about it.
All right. I guess looks like we're about out of time, but that was.
Yes, we've gone through I think we've gone over half an hour. We seem to ramble on a bit, and we start off by camera reviews. We go off onto home products that we can't buy, or that we can get at a cheaper, discounted price, but we can't get our cameras at a real cheap price that we're looking for at the moment.
And a little bit about how you shouldn't feel too bad about your messy desk, because we have messy desks too.
Oh, that's right. But then again, it's all depends what you like, and people want to make it look so people say how nice it looks. Well, to me, it's like in a house. You can have these beautiful houses that haven't got a speck of dust, perfect, but you don't want to live in them. You have to live and enjoy what you're doing. Same thing with your work area. It can be nice and neat. It's got to be enjoyable for you, that you enjoy sitting at that desk for 8 hours editing or doing what you're doing. Quite frankly, in my area, it's not the perfect, but I enjoy sitting at it, and I look forward to coming into this area and using it. So I think that's one of the main things: neat and tidy, but enjoyable to be at. So
yeah, I think that's key, because as long as you're able to enjoy it, and the stuff that you actually need to use is there, because if you have it too neat to the point where you can't even get to the stuff easily that you're always needing to use, then that kind of defeats the purpose as well.
And I must admit, with lockdown, and that's one of the advantages this year, it's come to the fact, so you get more portable, and so you're not relying on being in one area. So now I know I've got one briefcase type thing that I have all my things in. So if I go into the office, that's it. That's all I need. So whereas before you thought, I've got to go into the office because this is there, but I've streamlined everything, and you do the things a lot differently now to say,
cool.
I might not be able to get out, so make sure you've got everything with you. And then when you go there, you've got to make sure, I can't just nip back into the office. Like, we can't travel more than 5 kilometers away from home for the past 3 weeks. I think we've got another couple to go. But as I said,
Geez,
that's as far as we're allowed to go. It's 5 kilometers away from home, so you can't get into the office and that. So, but luckily, don't need to. So that's good.
It's invisible, but you can't. But Jeff actually has an explosive collar on. If he goes too far from his home, then the government will detonate it, and it will separate his head from his body. So it's a very serious.
You can't do that to your dog, but they can do it to us. No, we ain't not that bad yet, but it's anyway. I don't mind if we have to do it. We have to do it, and I thought the better people comply with it, the more chance we'll get out of it. But as I said, if people don't want to do it, it just gets worse and worse. So
it's all just continuing punishment for one of 19 inherited crimes for punishable by transportation to Australia.
Oh, that's right. So I'm glad we've been transported here. I'm glad. I think it's one of the best places to be stuck in. So I don't mind one little bit. So glad to be here.
All right. Hey, well, wherever you're watching from, don't get too down from the lockdown. Enjoy what you can. Enjoy your desk, as we said. Think about what you'll do after, or just enjoy what you're doing now. So hopefully this helped you somehow and gave you a little perspective on some of the stuff that's going on in tech in the world. And we'll see you next time on Tech Down Over.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.